Over the last weeks, we have seen several articles and blog posts talking about the number of bitcoins that you need to have to be in the top 1% of bitcoin holders. Those numbers are usually small numbers, but can you really be a rich bitcoin holder with just a small amount of bitcoin? In this video, I'm going to dissecate all that information and show you my opinion about that. Hey guys, my name is Pedro and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on all the notifications so that you don't miss any video that I release. So let's get started. Here we have an article from bitcoin.com, and this article is actually already from 2020. But the title is about how much Bitcoin you need to enter the Bitcoin's elite 1% club. And according to this article, and similar to several other articles that were released meanwhile, and a lot of them very recently, there is a number that it's common on all of them, and that number is 0.28 Bitcoin. And they even say that if you own 0.28 Bitcoin, you are statistically guaranteed to be in the richest 1% of the world in Bitcoin terms. But where is this number coming from? And is this a real number? Should we rely on this number? There's another blog post, and this one is from Cointelegraph, and this one is most recent. It's from March 2021. And they claim that you only need 0.01 Bitcoin to be rich. But how do they get to this number? The writer of this post, of this news article, he actually did a good job explaining where the numbers come from, and this is where I want to go in depth with you today. Let's first imagine that we are filling a bucket with coins, and the bucket has a limited size. We can fill coin by coin, put coin by coin inside the bucket, but there's a limited amount of space inside that basket. And that basket, that's what we call the Bitcoin maximum supply. And the Bitcoin maximum supply is 21 million coins. Or should we say that we can only fill this bucket with 21 million coins of Bitcoin. At the present day, that bucket it's not filled yet. It's not 100% filled, it still has some space on the top. At the present day, only 88.8% of the bucket is filled with coins. And that's what we call the Bitcoin current supply, and it's around 18.65 million. And in 10 years, the Bitcoin supply will be 20.6 million. And that will be around 98% of the maximum supply. So we can roughly say that in 10 years, the bucket will be almost full of coins, of Bitcoins. The big key here is that Bitcoin has a finite supply. It cannot exceed 21 million coins. It will never go above 21 million coins. And as Bitcoin gets more and more adoption throughout the world, more and more people will join and start buying and start accumulating Bitcoin. At this moment, there are close to 7.9 billion people in the world, and the maximum Bitcoin supply is 21 million. If we do a simple math calculation, there's only 0.0027 Bitcoin for every person in the world. And we are assuming that Bitcoin will be distributed evenly by every person in the world. There's not enough Bitcoin for everyone in the world to own one single Bitcoin. we know that Bitcoin is not distributed evenly. There are people that are already accumulating it for years. Recently, we see institutions accumulating insane amount of Bitcoins. And as the market cap increases, more and more institutions will be attracted to this whole new market. It's insane the amount of Bitcoins that these institutions are accumulating. And what are they doing with their Bitcoins? They are holding them. They don't pretend to sell them. Institutions don't trade for speculation. They trade to hold assets for years, for decades. The truth is that you will never see these bitcoins again. Either the ones that have been accumulated by the institutions, as well as the ones that are being accumulated by small retail traders. You will never see these bitcoins again. Bitcoin supply is disappearing, which is insane. But Bitcoin it's just not disappearing from the markets to the wallets from people that own it. There are a lot of Bitcoins that were lost already, that are lost because people lost their keys to their wallets, because people just threw away their old computers and they didn't care about Bitcoins, they didn't think that it would have a great value in the future. And it's estimated that 9% of the maximum supply of Bitcoin is already lost. And this accounts for the Bitcoins that were not moved in the last 10 years. If we go back to our basket of Bitcoins, now we can remove 9% of that basket. We can decrease the space inside that basket of Bitcoin. That accounts for 9%, that accounts for 1.9 million of Bitcoin. And if that 1.9 million of Bitcoin is lost, then we can adjust the maximum supply. So if we subtract 1.9 million of lost Bitcoin to the maximum supply, we end up with 19.1 million Bitcoin available maximum. The same way, in 10 years, we will not have 20.6 available Bitcoins in the markets, but we will have only 18.7 million Bitcoins. And today, the Bitcoin current supply it's only 16.75 million coins. Now, let's look at the number of millionaires that exist in the world. It's estimated that there are around 51.9 million millionaires in the world. And we know that the maximum amount of bitcoins that we will have in the future, if we exclude the lost coins, it's 19.1 million. If we divide all these bitcoins by all the millionaires in the world, each one of them can only afford to get 0.37 bitcoins. It's not even possible to divide all the bitcoins that will be available in the future by all the millionaires in the world so that they get at least one bitcoin. It's not possible. And we are assuming that every millionaire in the world would be able to buy Bitcoin before anyone else. But we can go even deeper in this. If we account for the lost Bitcoins that were not moved over the last 5 years, instead of 1.9 million, we get to a number that is 6.4 million coins, which is around 30% of the maximum supply of Bitcoin. Think a little bit, 30% of the rarest asset in the world is lost. Let's take a look at our basket again. Now instead of removing 9%, we remove 30.6%. Those bitcoins don't exist anymore. Well, they actually exist because they are on the blockchain, but their owners don't have their passwords. They lost their passwords, they lost their wallets, so they cannot recover them. So it's like they are just lost, they disappeared. And now we have new limits. So the maximum supply from 21 millions, if we remove the 6.4 millions of lost Bitcoin, we end up with 14.5 million Bitcoin of maximum supply. If we do the same for the supply in 10 years, we end up with 14.1 million Bitcoins. And at current date, there are only 12.2 million Bitcoins available to trade. So if we divide now the maximum amount of Bitcoins that will exist in the future, we are excluding the lost coins. And if we divide that number by the number of millionaires in the world, we get to the number of 0.28 Bitcoins per millionaire. But again, we are assuming that all millionaires would be able to buy Bitcoin before anyone else, and we are assuming that it would be distributed evenly by all the millionaires. But wait, less wealthy people are also buying Bitcoin, not just millionaires. And now we have a chart from the Credit Suisse that shows the global wealth distribution. On the top of that pyramid, we can see that 1% of the population of the world has more than $1 million in wealth. And those people represent 43.4% of the total wealth in the world. And those are the millionaires that we saw on the previous slides. But we know that not only millionaires are buying Bitcoins. If the millionaires in the world have 43.4% of the total wealth, let's say that they will also have 43.4% of the maximum amount of Bitcoins that will ever exist, excluding the lost coins, of course. And that will give 6.3 million of Bitcoins to be distributed by the millionaires. And we have 51.9 million millionaires in the world. If we distribute those Bitcoins, each one will have 0.12 Bitcoins. And we can do the same for the other layers of the pyramid. On the second layer, we have people that are worth between $100,000 to $1 million, and they have 40.5% of the wealth of the world. And if these people get 40.5% of the maximum supply of Bitcoin, they will get 5.9 million Bitcoins. And if we divide this 5.9 million Bitcoin by 590 million people, each one will get just 0.01 Bitcoin. Guys, do you see where this is getting? The second layer of the pyramid, people that are worth from $100,000 to 1 million, can only get 0.01 Bitcoins. And we can do the same for the next two layers. People that are worth from $10,000 to $100,000 would be able to get only 0.001 Bitcoin. And people that are worth less than $10,000, they could only have 0.00007 Bitcoin. Do you understand the gravity of this? Do you understand how the number of coins, of Bitcoins, the rarest asset in the world, is so limited? And when it's distributed by everyone in the world, you are only able to get a very small amount of that. And the news don't stop here. This is another article. This one is from CoinDesk. It says that Bitcoin holders have now stashed away 15% of circulating supply. Guys, people are not buying Bitcoin to make money as a speculation. People are buying Bitcoin to hold them on their cold storage wallets. People are buying Bitcoin to protect themselves from inflation. No one pretends to sell Bitcoin soon. And look at this. Continued accumulation of Bitcoin by investors is causing market liquidity to drop and helping drive prices higher. The more people take the Bitcoin away from the exchanges, they put money in the exchanges, they buy Bitcoin, and they take the Bitcoin away from the exchanges. They don't leave the Bitcoins there. If they wanted to make money and sell them in a near future, they wouldn't take the Bitcoins out of the exchanges. When someone takes the Bitcoins from the exchanges, that person doesn't want to sell it. At least not now, at least not in the near future. And this is a roller coaster. People are removing liquidity from the market. The Bitcoin available is getting more rare, is getting more scarce, and more people want to buy it. Each day there is more people that want to buy Bitcoin. And that just makes the price goes higher and higher and higher. In this article, there's also a chart from Glassnode. If you don't know, Glassnode is a website that has a lot of analytics about Bitcoin and where the money is flowing, how much Bitcoin is being traded, and where it is being moved to. And Glassnode has this chart that shows that the accumulation addresses, the wallets that are used to accumulate Bitcoin, are just increasing and increasing. This is all over the last year. The number of wallets that are used to accumulate Bitcoins is just increasing. And these wallets are wallets that go to the exchange. They put dollars on the exchange. They exchange their dollars by Bitcoin, and they remove the Bitcoin from the exchange and they store it on their safe, on their cold storage, and they will never take it out from there. They even state in the end that the balance locked in accumulation addresses is up 22% year on year, and it has increased by 80,000 Bitcoin in the past week alone. So this is a huge thing, guys. This is a very big thing. Then we have this website which is bitcointreasuries.org, and they have this table with the companies that own Bitcoin, and we can see that there is a big adoption of Bitcoin. We have the top holder, which is MicroStrategy, that holds 21,000 Bitcoins. Then we have Tesla, that owns 48,000 Bitcoins. Then we have Galaxy Digital Holdings, 16,000 Bitcoins. And then we keep going down, down, down. And we don't have just companies, we have ETF like funds. We have, for example, on the top, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. They own 649,000 Bitcoin. We have CoinShares XBT Provider. They own 69 Bitcoins. And the list just keeps going, going, and going. And if we account just these companies that we see on this list, just on this list we have 1.3 million Bitcoins. Guys, and the adoption of Bitcoin didn't even started yet for real. As the time passes, more and more companies will enter this list, more and more companies will start to buy and hold Bitcoins and store them on their safes, on their cold wallets. This is huge. Do you know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank? Some time ago he was very skeptical about Bitcoin and he actually called it a garbage. But after seeing the recent news, after seeing what the big hedge funds are starting to make, what all the big companies are doing, after seeing what everyone and how everyone is investing in Bitcoin, not speculating, not just buying to get quick profits, but investing and accumulating Bitcoin to hold them for the future. He now decided to buy Bitcoin too. He now plans to invest 3% of his portfolio on Bitcoin. He said the arrival of Bitcoin ETFs was a game changer, and he said that he was focused on holding Bitcoin sustainably. What we see here is something that in the future no one will be able to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin will be so scarce, there will be so limited supply because no one wants to get rid of the Bitcoins that they own. And every single day we have news. Every single day we have news of several new institutions, of several hedge funds, of several companies that start to enter into the crypto space. And these companies, they don't buy Bitcoin to sell. They buy when they decide to buy something, they decide to buy and hold. They are not speculating, they are investing. They want to get value from that over time, over years, over decades. So my question for you is, on which level of the Bitcoin pyramid are you? Do you already own Bitcoin? Have you started buying Bitcoin? Do you have a plan to buy Bitcoin? Think about it. A small investment now, maybe a huge return in the future. Guys, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was instructive for you. I hope you understood where these Bitcoin numbers come from. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel and activate the notifications so that you can get an alert every time that I release a new video. And let me know in the comments on which level of the pyramid are you, and what are your plans for the future. If you are accumulating Bitcoin, if you already accumulated, let me know, and thank you very much for watching. See you on next video.